President, at some point the Senate will vote on the nomination of John Ratcliffe to be the director of the CIA. And I'm here to outline for just a few moments why I oppose this nomination. Now, let me begin by saying I often vote for nominees who have different policy views than I do. However, my concerns with Mr. Ratcliffe are much deeper than that. In 2020, I opposed his confirmation to be Director of National Intelligence because I believe his partisanship and willingness essentially went to the proposition of doing what would please Donald Trump. Unfortunately, his actions as head of national intelligence only confirmed my concerns. Today, I want to focus on John Ratcliffe's commitment to the law and his truthfulness with Congress. I'll give a couple of examples to illustrate my concerns. In 2019, the Congress passed a law requiring the Director of National Intelligence to submit an unclassified report on who was responsible for the brutal murder of Washington Post reporter and U.S. resident Jamal Khashoggi. In 2020, after John Ratcliffe was nominated to be the head of National Intelligence, I asked him in his confirmation hearing whether he intended to follow that law. He responded that he needed to take a look at the underlying intelligence to see what could be released. And, Madam President, that's not the same as saying he would do as the law required. After Director Ratcliffe was confirmed as DNI, he decided that nothing more could be classified about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. The effect of that decision was to cover up the fact that Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved the operation to capture or kill Khashoggi. The public only has the facts today because after the 2020 election, then head of National Intelligence Avril Haines abided by the law and released the report. But while John Ratcliffe was Director of National Intelligence, the Saudi leadership, Madam President, was protected from public accountability. While he was Director of National Intelligence, Director Ratcliffe wrote to multiple members of Congress saying that he had completed his review of the intelligence and determined that nothing more could be released. And despite the fact that the Congress passed a law, Director Ratcliffe insisted that there was only marginal public interest in declassification. He said this in 3 letters to me, to Acting Chairman Rubio, and Vice Chairman Warner, and to the Chair of the House Intelligence Committee. So to me, Madam President, this raises questions about John Ratcliffe's commitment to the law. And basically, I have concerns about his truthfulness with the Congress. As part of this nomination process, I submitted a written question asking him why he didn't obey the law. He responded that a review had been necessary to determine what could be declassified, and I quote here, "This review was not completed until after I left office." Madam President, that statement by Mr. Ratcliffe just wasn't true. Mr. Ratcliffe wrote 3 letters to the Congress saying the review had been completed. The fact was even included in the director's representations to a court in a FOIA case. So here, Madam President, is why I'm opposing the Ratcliffe nomination. If John Ratcliffe is willing to make representations to the Congress that are contradicted by what is in the public record, imagine how easy it would be for him to misrepresent classified matters behind a veil of secrecy. Now, there are other aspects of John Ratcliffe's record as DNI that are troubling. He said during his confirmation hearing he would tell truth to power. The truth suggests otherwise. For example, at the end of September 2020, he released intelligence about Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. That was even though the intelligence community didn't know if it was accurate or the extent to which it was fabricated or exaggerated by Russian intelligence. Needless to say, this was a major break from standard practice, and it is hard to escape the conclusion that it was done for partisan political purposes, particularly given the timing. So I asked Mr. Ratcliffe whether he had ever taken any actions that were actually in conflict with the position of the President. His response was simply to offer nothing. Madam President, my concerns in 2020 that John Ratcliffe was too partisan to be confirmed as the head of an intelligence agency have been validated by these specific examples I have cited today. So as I've said, he also now has a record of ignoring a law passed by the U.S. Congress and then misrepresenting basic facts about that decision. So when the Senate does vote on the Ratcliffe nomination, I want the record to show that I strongly oppose the nomination, and I yield the floor.